How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So this is going to be part 2 in close quarters combat SRT SWAT instructional class video. So if you haven't seen the first video, I highly recommend because it gives some kind of context on exactly what I'm talking about, my experience level, and everything like that. Like, why would you even want to hear this from me? But originally in the first video, we also did a reality check. So now we're moving in to more of the base layer of everything that we are going to be talking about, mainly mindset behind stuff. So this is going to be a mindset video, which is really important, and I really harp on this when I was teaching my students and stuff like that. So base layer, normally how I, teach and or instruct, I guess you could say, is 3 rules to this entire thing of close quarters combat, or just in general of doing law enforcement or professional-based means. So don't be easy to kill. It's kind of like the #1 rule is don't be easy to kill. Exactly what it says. Have the proper mindset, have the proper know-how before you get pushed into a scenario. That's exactly why you're probably viewing this video, is to get more information to be better at something. So next, be a hard target. And this one is more of a confidence thing than it is pretty much anything else. And you can also fake it till you make it, which is a pretty decent line, which I often use when I would teach newer people, say on the road in law enforcement. And for example, when we would have new folks pull a vehicle over for an infraction, and I would say, hey, you go ahead and run this. It's a lot different seeing a seasoned patrolman and a brand new patrolman, that's never really done it before. You can actually physically see how they're doing it. Now, the new person is going to get up there, and often, not all the time, but often you will actually notice them being nervous and different and not confident when they do their steps approaching the vehicle. Now, you can fake it till you make it and push that confidence. Even if you don't know what you're doing, push that confidence as professionalism and to the point in a way. So as you approach the vehicle, instead of being like, okay, I gotta do this, gotta put my hand on the back and then move up, they can just get in that mindset, be professionally kept, ready to roll, because the perception of that individual that just got pulled over is gonna be looking in the mirror and going, this guy looks really professional, I don't want to mess with him, or wow, this guy looks like a slob, I think I might be able to do something or take him. With that, be a hard target. You can stop a lot of threats before they even occur because you look ready to go in a second's notice. Like you're kind of wanting things to happen in a way. You really don't, but if you get my drift. So as they're approaching the car, really professional up there. Hey, do what you need to. Hey, sir, how are you today? Do I need this, 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 and this? And be professional and confident. And that will honestly help a lot of situations. Next and lastly of my 3 rules, adapt to your surroundings. This one is pretty big and very key in doing close quarters combat based scenarios or situations that you get yourself into, because you will change environments immediately. And what I mean by environments, not like rain, snow, stuff like that. I mean locations, because you can go from outside, dark out, waiting at a door, and immediately when you press in within 2 steps of your feet, you will be in a completely different environment, lights on, inside, warm temperature. How do you operate in that, going from one extreme to the next, and then you progress into another room, and it could be back to the opposite. It could be completely dark. It could be cold. It could be damaged, and there's stuff all over the place. And every time you literally take a step, you could face another different environment. So you need to be ready for those different environments at a second's notice to be able to adapt to your surroundings, understanding what you may face. And how you do that is training in different environments, constantly doing it. So next is we are going to get into a thinking or a seeing, thinking, shooting based kind of mindset. So the range and, the society these days teaches us to be a fast shooter. It really does. Social media is all about, YouTubers and all that stuff is like, you got to shoot really fast and that's all that matters. And in the reality, shooting fast, okay, it can help. Yes, there is locations it'll help. But what comes prior to you squeezing that trigger? That would be seeing and thinking or understanding what you are about to accomplish. A good, understanding of this would be you driving down the highway and something pulls out in front of you, right? Say a deer just jumps out in front of you. Roughly, you're seeing the deer, you're thinking what you need to do, and then you're going to act on it. Normally, the seeing and the thinking part takes averagely, for an average person, about 1.5 seconds. So with that said, that's a pretty lengthy amount of time, especially if you're driving very quickly. And when we correlate it back to close quarters combat, based situations, 1.5 seconds is a very long time. But you can bring that time down by training. Now, you're not going to bring it down massively, but you can bring it down often just by doing, visual drills, maybe a numbers drill. Like if you say only shoot target with number 5 on it, and there's tons of numbers on the target, and you're going through a house training, that is getting your brain to see and understand that, hey, I see numbers. Okay, I see a number 5. I need to shoot it. Or the opposite, I don't see a number 5, so I can progress on to something else. That is how you can correlate and train your mindset. So seeing and thinking takes about 1.5 seconds, and then shooting on average takes about 1.5 seconds. Like I said, you can bring these times down by training, so the average is about 3.5 seconds to take in solid information. Now that's the average. I get it. There's people out there that are way quicker, and there are people out there that are slower. So that's what I am harping on, is this section right here. Seeing and thinking, the analyzation part of literally taking in information is almost more important than you performing the task. Because if you have, say, go into a house and there is a child there, and you're ready to smoke people because your intel says there is no civilians in here, these are all bad dudes, and they have weapons and they're heavy ready to go. So you're already in that mindset of, hey, there's no kids in here. You can't get in that mindset. You need to see and orient yourself, which also goes back to OODA loop, or observe, orient, decide, and act. Originally designed in the 1960s for fighter pilots, Lieutenant Colonel John Boyd came up with this program, and it has been pretty solid, honestly, up until now. We still train this, is always keeping your mindset constantly looping back on itself to keep yourself in the fight mentally. Keep going over, observe, or orient yourself to the situation. Decide, hey, I'm going to do that, and then you act on it. And then if it does work or doesn't work, go back to observe. And you just literally keep going, back and forth between the two to keep your mindset or your head in the game, which is exactly like this. Lastly, I would just want to talk about is a physical response as a human being to stressful situations, and that would be threat focus. Really briefly, we're going to go over it. So the human eye can normally see about 160 degrees with your peripheral vision, which is pretty good. But when you get in a heightened scenario or situation or a threat that comes in front of you, your mind will start cutting out all your peripheral and go to a threat-based focus. We are designed as human beings for that purpose. We're supposed to take all of our mind power and suck it down to this threat, analyze it to the best of our ability, and understand what we can do. Problem with that is it kind of sucks your mindset down to this small area. So you don't know anymore what's out on the sides, which you could be dealing with this. A person, say there's a threat there. That is a good thing, but it is also a bad thing at the same time, because now your peripherals are out. So they often train, and you probably see it a lot, is people to scan. After you get done dealing with something, you immediately scan the rest of the room or field or whatever environment you're in to gain your peripheral vision and get it back to normal, or understand what's around you, even like taking a look back behind you and stuff like that. Are your troops or other officers or other personnel, are they still behind you? Do you have anybody? Is there any threats behind you? that kind of mindset. Just like the whole aspect of, iron sights on shooting a firearm. Everybody says, hey, or your front sight post should be nice, crisp, and clear. But if you ever brought forth a threat in front of you and you're staring at the front sight post, your mind is automatically going to push your focus to the threat, and then your front sight post goes blurry. So you're like, what the heck? Which you can train around it. It does happen, and there's been a lot of dispatches with iron sights, of course, over hundreds of years. But that's why we transitioned over to a red dot, just to give you some insight, because the red dot can literally transpose over, and you don't need to have that red dot, clear technically or focused on, because they already know your mind is going to do a threat focus, and you're going to focus on that person. All you got to do is put the dot over your threat and do what you need to with your rifle or weapon system. So that concludes today's or part 2. And the next one, we are actually going to be getting into the details of how to enter a structure, how to set up your teammates, how to actually get in there, button hook, crossover, get through the door, check your corner, run your wall, scan your sector, communicate, how to actually do that. You got corner fed, center fed rooms, all this kind of stuff. We're literally going to go over in the next video, and I'm going to show you properly how to enter a structure alone, which you never should do, but obviously there's scenarios you should, and with a team. So if you guys like this kind of stuff and want to see more, definitely hit like, subscribe. Leave me a comment below if you've seen anything different that you're not used to. This is what I was taught to me and instructed for many years. So things change, I get that, and you might have been told or taught something completely different, because there's a lot of different ways to do things out there, and I understand that. So if you guys like this kind of stuff, like I said, like, subscribe, look forward to the next video, and I hope y'all have a great day.